Northwestern basketball is back in action tonight against Illinois. Can they bounce back after a tough loss? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Northwestern, your daily podcast on the Northwestern Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Locked On Northwestern, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen today and every day. We really appreciate it. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find us, and we're also available on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern. You can find us there. Wherever you are listening, make sure that you are subscribed. You turn on notifications. You don't want to miss an episode as we continue to pump out content every week. But yeah, let's jump right into it. I'm your host, Carter Bird. And Northwestern basketball is back in action tonight at 8 p.m. They take on Illinois at home on the Big Ten Network. They'll be, I'm excited for this because it'll be our second look at those Chicago's own by the players jerseys that they wore against DePaul. If I do recall that correctly. So we will get to see those again. I think they're some of the cleanest uniforms in all of college basketball, and I am excited to see how those look at home here again tonight on a Big Ten Network broadcast, a Big Ten game, a big matchup, in-state matchup. Their last game, Northwestern lost to Ohio State 73-57 at home. Yeah, it was not a great performance. The score is a little misleading there. Ohio State got out to a 34-8 lead. Chris Collins was not very happy about it. I mean, he talked about how you can't win games shooting the way that they did. 9-1 run to finish the half for Northwestern, cut the lead to 18, 35-17. So you had a little bit of momentum. Various things happened. You weren't able to really build off it all that much. You win the second half, 40-38. Chase Audige had 16 points, but clearly it was not enough as they dropped this one by 16 points. It just was not Northwestern's night at all out there on the court. Ninth, but it was Chase Audige's ninth consecutive game with double figures. Matt Nicholson, he had 13 rebounds. It was a career high for him. He had 8 offensive boards, something that Chris Collins noted in his post-game press conference, how just impressive that number is. And almost equally and even more crazily impressive, somehow he didn't have any points. He didn't have a single bucket on those 8 offensive rebounds for the 7-foot big man. I mean, that doesn't happen in college basketball. So it was a tough night for him on offense, but at least he did crash the boards. Northwestern coming into this game tonight, they are 10-3. It is their best start since the 2016-17 season. Some of the strength of schedule stuff is starting to look a little bit better, with one of those 3 losses being to Pitt, who last night, by the way, got their 4th conference win. They are 4-0 in conference play with an upset. I believe it was at Virginia, if I'm a ranked Virginia team, if I'm recalling correctly. So that avenged one of those losses. Pitt is all the way up to, I believe they are all the way up to 64 in the Ken Palm. Their other loss to Auburn, 19 in the Ken Palm. And then Ohio State, who is 11 in the Ken Palm. So They have losses. Their losses, this Northwestern team, have come to good teams at the very least. You can be thankful about that, but it is the best start for Northwestern since 2016-17, that season. And the defense has led the way. They are eighth nationally and second in the Big Ten in scoring defense, allowing just 57 points per game, 57 flat, that is. That's impressive there. Should allow you some breathing room on offense, which has not been the most consistent thing this season. Northwestern now leads the nation in opposing 2-point field goal percentage. Opponents are shooting just 39.1% from two against the Wildcats. Northwestern is ninth in Ken Palm's defensive efficiency rating, which is pretty impressive. I mean, when you look at it, one of the best teams in the country on the defensive end. Last time out, maybe was not the best. There's only, by my count, one team in the Big Ten ahead of Northwestern on that list. Actually, Northwestern has moved up to eighth in defensive efficiency as of this morning, two ahead of a team that they've already played this year in Auburn. But yeah, defense has led the way 100%. Chase Audige on the offensive end, he leads the team with 15.4 points per game. He has been in double figures in 11 of 13 games so far this year. Boo Booey, he's next, averaging 13.8 points per game. Boo Booey's kind of been a little bit inconsistent this year. He's had some incredible, huge outbursts, but then had some kind of subpar offensive games. Not very efficient all year long. If those two guys, Chase Audige and Boo Booey, can become efficient threats on the offensive end, I think you're going to see a very dangerous Northwestern team. Matt Nicholson leads the team on the glass with 6.8 rebounds per game. He has consecutive double-digit rebounding performances coming into this one. It's been a great effort by him recently on the glass. He's made a lot of progress. Last game obviously was not the offensive performance you wish you got out of him, but as long as he keeps giving you that effort on the glass, I think you're going to continue to see him out on the court, especially in Big Ten play when you run up against these really big opposing big men. In just a second, we're going to take a look at Illinois, who they are coming into this one, and the series kind of between these two. But first, let's talk about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball and really any other sport you could possibly want. We've got it all at BetOnline. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Also, thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every single day. Make sure to check out Locked On Sports today, the biggest stories around the sports world in 20 minutes or less, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and Locked On's take of the day. Locked On Sports today, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. All right. So what do we know about Illinois? Illinois entering this game, they're 9-4 on the season, 0-2 in conference play. Those coming in a 71-66 loss at Maryland early in December. And then they followed that up about a week later with a 74-59 loss to Penn State at home. Not the start that they want in conference play, but in between those two games, they did have an impressive 85. That Maryland team, by the way, at the time they played was ranked 22nd, but in between that loss to Maryland and that loss to Penn State, this Illinois team had an impressive 85-78 overtime win against number 2 at the time, Texas. Very impressive win. It's not their only impressive win that they have on the year. They also have a 79-70 win over, again, at the time, number 8, UCLA. They also have a 73-44 victory over Syracuse. So this team has played a difficult schedule. They also have some losses to some good teams. They have a 70-61 loss to number 16 Virginia, and they have a 93-71 loss at Missouri. So it's been kind of hit or miss this year. They're capable of beating just about anyone in college basketball, but then they're capable of losing to just about any Power 6 high major team out there as well. They won their last matchup 85-52 over Bethune-Cookman on Thursday. Dane Danger led the team with a career-high 22 points. Texas Tech transfer Terrence Shannon Jr. leads the team this year in scoring with 17.8 points per game. So he's going to be the guy that you circle when you're watching this one. Somebody to keep an eye on. He is a dangerous threat for them. They're looking for their first win of their first conference win of the season in the last AP poll. I think this is a credit for them being a 9-4 team, 0-2 in conference play. It's a credit to the schedule that they've played, the wins that they've accumulated. They did receive some votes in the AP poll this past week. And going into this matchup, this will be the 187th meeting between these two teams, making it the second most played series in Northwestern history. Over the course of this series, Illinois leads the series 144 wins to 42 losses. So it's been pretty lopsided, but more recently it's been a little bit more even. At home, Northwestern has won 6 of the last 13 in this series, which they obviously get Illinois at home tonight. So that's an advantage for Northwestern going into this one. In their last meeting, number 13 Illinois won the matchup 73-66. Northwestern, kind of a similar story to their last game against Ohio State when they played this matchup against Illinois last season. Northwestern trailed by 18 points, and they cut it all the way down to 1 with 6:16 left. Ended up losing by 7, but they dug a big hole that weren't able to overcome. Ty Berry led the way with 16 points, going 4 of 6 from 3 in that one. So that's what happened the last time these two teams met. In a second, we're going to talk about Northwestern and their ability to bounce back from what was one of their worst performances of the year on Sunday. But first, let's take a moment and thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen today. Now, make sure you check out Locked On Sports today for your second listen. Peter Bukowski brings you the biggest stories from around the sports world in 20 minutes. Get the analysis and opinions before anyone else with our local and national experts and insiders. Locked On Sports Today podcast, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's talk about this. Northwestern, can they bounce back? I think they can. But what you can't do, one, you have to shoot better than 21.2% from the field in the first half. I think Chris Collins said in his post-game press conference at one point it was 6 of 28 to start the game. That's not good enough. At one point it was 2 of 24, which, again, not good enough. You have to, in these conference games that are difficult to get wins in, you have to be competitive. You have to hit shots. I know Northwestern's not this highly explosive offense that's going to put up tons and tons and tons of points, but they have to be better than what we have seen or than what we saw on Sunday, because that was by far their worst offensive performance of the year. You can't fall behind. You can't dig a huge hole. You can't fall behind 34-8 and expect to win a game in this conference. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You can play the best team in the conference. You can play the worst team in the conference. If you dig yourself a 26-point first half hole, you're not going to come back and win many, if not any, games. You may not win a single game like that. You have to shoot better in every aspect. You need to be shooting better than what? They were 28.4% from the field, 29% from three. Those aren't good enough. Those numbers need to be, well, from the field, you need to be at least in the 40s. So you're well off from that. And from three, you got to be at least in the 30s. So you're a little bit off from that too. You weren't good at the free throw line. You were just 58.8% at the line. Again, shooting the ball, it's just not good enough. This team needs to be tougher. This team needs to be more physical, because in that last matchup, Ohio State just took it to you from a physicality standpoint, and you looked a little shocked by it if you're Northwestern. Hopefully, this team talked about it in the post-game press conference. You had Chase Audige and Ty Berry. They talked about how they were going to have to go back and watch the film, get prepared, get ready for this matchup versus Illinois. And I think they will show up. I think there will be motivation to be tougher. You got to be stronger going to the rim. There are too many shots, opportunities at the rim that got blocked because guys didn't go up hard enough. So I'm looking for that. If you're Ty Berry, maybe cool it on the flopping. Don't want to get called for another tech. But yeah, you need to be more efficient shooting the ball, especially your guards. Boo Buie going 3 of 15, 3 of 10 from three. Chase Audige 6 of 17, 2 of 9 from three. Even Ty Berry, not his most efficient game, 4 of 11, 2 of 7 from three. Robbie Barron, 1 of 7. Matt Nicholson down low, 0 of 7. So 1 of 14 with your big men. Somebody's got to pick up the slack. Something that was talked about, Brooks Barnhizer played a very good game, or not a very good game. He played a solid game. He gave this team an energy boost when they needed it last time out. And he actually was the most efficient shooter, making both of his free throws and going 2 of 3 from the field. So maybe you see him start to step up as we move forward. This is going to be a fun matchup tonight. I believe Illinois is a 3.5-point favorite by what I have seen. I think it'll be exciting. Northwestern's coming into this one ranked 61st in the KenPom, while Illinois is coming into this one ranked 28th in the KenPom. The over-under is 134. If I had to make a guess, I'm going to say this hits under. And I'm going to say Northwestern actually covers 3.5. The ESPN matchup predictor actually predicts Northwestern to win the game slightly. Gives them a 50.7% chance to win this, with Illinois with a 49.3% chance to win this. So those are going to be our picks, brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. We're going to take Northwestern as the underdog with the plus 3.5. And we're going to take under 134. And that's going to be our picks for this one. We'll see how it plays out tonight at 8 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. That'll do it for today's episode. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every day. We really appreciate it. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find us. We're also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern. You can find us there. And wherever you're listening, just make sure that you're subscribed. You turn on notifications. You don't want to miss an episode. We will be back tomorrow, probably breaking this game down. Until next time, I'm your host, Carter Bird. You can follow me on social media at CarterBird13. I'll see you all next time.